Hey guys, Lizardlea here for Four Heavenly Beasts, day 83. So that is the progress from day 82. Full disclosure, my wrist, like all of this, is hurting very badly. And my mom has carpal tunnel, so I am not going to push myself too far and make it hurt worse. But I did start the color 3799 last week. And I want to finish it. So, at the very least, I want to do that. And then we'll see how much I'm dying to continue the book from there.
Alright! If you hear any loud noises in the background, it's the 4th of July and there's fireworks.
At least we hope they're fireworks.
They're fireworks. We can see that there are fireworks.
This is true.
Anyways. One of the first things we're going to be talking about is Jury Duty, which was a TV show where they just had a crap ton of actors and one just normal guy. Ronald Gladden. Why did you cough like that?
Because I needed to cough.
Sounded like you were interrupting me with intention.
Well, now that I've done it. So, I am normally not one for awkward humor or reality TV, both because I get secondhand embarrassment for the awkward humor or I don't find it funny and I just find it cruel. And air quotes reality TV I often find to be unbelievable. It's too staged, it's too perfect. You know, there's lots of these subreddits and shows and whatnot where it's like, oh, this totally happened. It's like, no, it didn't. Or they basically made sure it did, or they waited until they found someone who did the right thing. And this, in my opinion, managed to thread the needle and not sprint across either line. It could be awkward, yes, but it was usually understandably, or like it wasn't too bad and it wasn't too long when it was. It was very wholesome, as I'm sure you will say.
Yeah, I felt like the secondhand embarrassment wasn't bad because it was from actors intentionally trying to get a reaction from the guy. And he is just the sweetest, kindest guy. Mm-hmm. Like, the only time he wasn't nice was when James Marsden, who is playing himself in this show, by the way. So he was Cyclops. Like, he's a great actor.
Yeah.
I felt like he was the one that gave me the most secondhand embarrassment. And the fact that, what was his name? Ronald was always just like, whoa, what? Like, I related to that. Because I feel like most of the time when it's secondhand embarrassment, the person doesn't, like no one realizes, oh wow, this is embarrassing. We should just walk away. Let's not talk about this. Let's just stop. Versus this one, put it on straight on.
Yeah, well, I mean, part of the reason I also found it quasi-believable is because since he had various people to bounce off of, there were other people who were within the... Because the whole setup is, of course, he's been selected for jury duty on this trial, and literally every single portion of this is paid actors. So not just the other jurors, the judge, the bailiffs, the lawyers, the criminal... Probably heard that one. The places they investigate, everything is staged except for him. He's the only sincere thing about the show. And because of that, they can have lots of people who pretend to be normal and react normally to the weird stuff going on. So it feels a lot more believable when he goes, oh my gosh, what was that? Or like, what's going on here? And someone goes, yeah, man, I don't know, that's wild. Like, I can't believe they did that. Or what, it makes it feel like, yes, this is actually how this happened, not we shot it 6 times until he did it that way. And I mean, it was very candid camera attempt.
Oh yeah, straight up. Like the last episode, they actually discussed how they got away with it.
Yeah.
And they pointed out times when they screwed up.
Mm-hmm.
Is it the bailiff? Was that the black lady? She was like, oh, Susan, you forgot your purse. Mm-hmm. And Susan is the actress's real name.
Yeah.
Versus she's playing Sarah. And so they played it off as like, oh, nope, it's somebody in a different jury. Never mind. And she just took the purse away.
Yep.
Like, she worked with it. Because they're all actors. So they're like, oh, crap, I screwed up. I, gotta improv and fix this.
And you actually see how they manage some of the moments that someone like me, who's grumpy and no fun, was already kind of like, I'm not sure exactly how they pulled that. Like, well, no, they literally, like, yes, we saw this big dramatic moment where James Marsden was a total jerk, and, like, wow, why would he ever talk to him again? Oh, because there was an off-the-screen thing where he kind of came back and apologized and redeemed himself because they saw that the guy was like, yeah, this is totally out of line, that's ridiculous.
I actually really loved that because,
Yeah.
like, it was so funny at the beginning where he was kind of just like, I don't know, he didn't immediately recognize James Marsden, did he? Didn't James Marsden have to say, like, oh yeah, I was Cyclops?
No, well, he kind of thought he did. I don't remember.
He recognized him from something older.
Yeah.
That's what it was. It wasn't something that's, like, super popular. But then, like, he was just like, oh, okay, you know, like, he's an actor, like, whatever. And James Marsden was like, oh, you know, I don't want to do this. You got to help me get out of this. And the dude just completely flopped. He was like, yeah, no, man, he was so unhelpful.
Yeah.
It was hilarious. And, you know, James Marsden was upset about it, quote unquote. And I just, like, he was so sweet. And honestly, like, the end was my favorite because a lot of them were like, yeah, I started acting like myself. Like, I feel like we're actually friends.
Yeah.
Like, I want to be friends with you because you're so... Wow!
That one was close.
That one was huge and very close. Sorry. But,
we have some empty desert near us, so that's probably where they're launching from.
I really enjoyed it. I don't know necessarily how rewatchable it would be. I guess in the sense of, like...
I don't think it would be,
Yeah.
personally anyways. Okay, so to be fair, I went into the show almost certain I was going to hate it, and I was like, well, I'm sure I'll like parts of it, because just the entire pitch to me was just like, oh great, it's reality TV.
Oh yeah,
no
you were so upset when
secondhand.
Mark kept talking about
And
it.
I was like, all right, fine, let's just do this. I'm sure we'll see if I like it. And I really enjoyed it. Yeah,
one watching or two?
One or two sittings, yeah.
One or two.
I think two.
Yeah, that
and
sounds right.
I'm glad I saw it. Like, I could have lived without it, but it was still very good and unique. And you know, I don't like like Borat. I don't like.
Oh
or,
God, no! I
Ollie
can't
G
stand
or
him.
any of that nonsense. Like that stuff isn't funny to me. I can't even watch The Office most times. Like there are clips from The Office that I've seen that I find hilarious. Ditto with Parks and Rec, but I can't watch those shows because too often they're not funny or just outright actively difficult for me to get through because it's like, yep, you are succeeding in making me uncomfortable to the point I don't want to watch it. And this, like I said, threads the needle pretty well because he's surrounded by mostly normal people, and then each episode they get
Progressively weirder.
well, it's almost like a Three Stooges thing where someone's going to be weird this episode. Who is it? You know, or well, you know, this scene more likely. They're usually not pushing too many things at once. There were one or two things where I'm like, how does he not know this is staged? But like,
oh, like this weird science guy with all the different ways he can
honestly,
sit
that
in
and
chairs.
the complete over the topness of the Mormon or whatever he was kid and his
Oh, the virgin?
yeah. So
Yeah, that one was pretty ridiculous, but
yeah, I mean, and part of the funny part is James Marsden leaning over me like, "Can you believe this?" Like, what the
oh yeah, he totally played into it really well. I just honestly, I feel like having watched it and with how shocked he was at the end, I could 100% I believe he did not know and that he was himself.
Oh yeah, I do too.
And I could be friends with that guy. Like he seemed like he would be
He seemed like a
good
person.
friend to have.
Yeah, no, it was a very. I'm curious what drama and weird stuff has come up since then, but I don't want to be cynical about it, and so I'm leaving it alone.
I've heard of a lot of other shows where they get one person who doesn't know and it doesn't go as positively,
Yeah.
but
yeah, either way, it seemed like this ended positively. I'm willing to take the narrative they have given me and just leave it alone and not research anymore because so often that never ends well. And I don't care because, yeah, it seemed like a very nicely done thing. It was very interesting. It brought up around, like, okay, I was studying to do law. Like, I never even got into law school, so, like, I just was, you know, curious about it in my high school and early college years. So there were some things to me that stood out as like, you're not supposed to do that, or that definitely shouldn't be allowed. But then, like, also, that's kind of how real juries are, where it's like, yeah, there's still just 12 random screwball people, and they're not always gonna do, like, there was a lot of interesting stuff there to me as well. I doubt that's a selling point for literally anybody.
Yeah,
but
because he didn't have any knowledge on it.
No, he
and
didn't.
And they made him the foreman, so...
Well, that's not uncommon. It was more just that, like, there are certain things that I think the court would have...
said something, or...
Probably. Again, like...
I mean,
for all that there are rules, you also always hear these stories of, like, yep, they allowed it, and it's like, wow, okay, that shouldn't have been allowed ever.
Yeah.
But then also, yeah, there are certain things where he's like, well, I think that this guy was, it's the moral problem of a jury where it's like you as a person are probably aware that something is off here, but the case was not well made, and so as a juror you're not Columbo. 12 Angry Men is not how this works. You do not get to go out and buy the murder weapon. And they kind of...
If it's a multi-day thing, you still go home.
Correct.
They typically don't hole you up in a hotel and...
Right, but if you were to do anything that occurred in 12 Angry Men, you get kicked off that jury so fast.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, they, spoilers, I guess, at some point, they go to the scene of the crime, or quote-unquote crime, and they go into an area where they were specifically told they are not allowed to go.
Yeah.
And me, being the person that I am, I would have called it out. I would have been like, hey, we can't go there. And if they didn't listen, I would have gone to the person and been like, hey, they're going where they're not supposed to. Because, like, I'm a rule follower, okay? I am a party pooper, but I'm just like, if we learn something and then it later gets thrown out and this person isn't convicted of a crime because we screwed up, I'm not going to be happy about it,
Yeah, exactly.
What were you saying?
No,
I'm not a rule follower?
No, yes. No, I mean, and that's kind of the thing, is it was just kind of interesting seeing those scenes especially, because it's very real to, I think, how juries actually work, where it's kind of like the person knows, like, well, this is weird, this guy was trying to say something and then he got shut down by the judge, but, like, obviously we all know that he said that, like, you strike that from the record, you guys didn't hear that, like, it's hard to decide.
You can't do that, unfortunately.
Right, it's hard to decide as a juror, like, what do I do, what's ethical or what's legal, and yada yada yada. And so, like, I found that stuff also interesting on top of the zaniness and the weirdness. And again, they did a pretty good job of generally splitting the difference on how wacky everyone was. Like, we mentioned the two people who were the most over the top. Probably the third most is James Marsden himself, because he's supposed to be, like, because he's a
actor.
Yeah, because he's a recognized actor, and we all know actors are weird and pompous. He's able to get away with stuff that, like, you can believe he would act like a cartoon character, essentially, because it's like, well, actors are rich and crazy, who knew, like, I've heard of that.
See, and I really appreciated when the dude was like, yeah, that was really mean and unnecessary.
No.
They made him dial it back and apologize.
It's not just that...
I loved that.
It's not that I more meant that you could believe James Marsden would do that, rather than be like, who would ever act like that? Like, if you ever just saw a random person act like some of the things you saw. Yeah,
but if you're like, oh yeah, that's a big name, A-list actor, I could believe.
But when James Marsden, tries to schedule the press to show up to get out of jury duty, like, that's just on the edge of believable for these egomaniacs, especially when it spirals out of control and screws everybody.
Oh, absolutely.
So, yeah, I mean...
if you've ever wanted to dip into a show...
there is one incredibly gross moment, and it's got some crude humor.
The bathroom.
The bathroom, yeah. To be fair, something that kind of takes the grossness out of it is them in the credits discussing how they make the prop.
Yep.
But yeah, it's I honestly, one of the best parts of the show is the credits at the end, the making of, where you get to see behind the scenes about how they actually did it, all the little moments of, like, oh no, he figured this out, oh wait, he's talking to that person, oops, he's way too mad about this, oh gosh, dial this back, oh no, I did that, what do we do here? Like, it's just really, really fascinating.
I loved seeing all of the hidden camera locations, because I was like, how does he not see that? Oh, it's in a clock. Okay.
Yeah.
Like,
I too
I
would
thought
be
that
on
was so
film.
Cool. All right, so the next thing I have, the Sting. Okay, was that the one with the horses? Or they're
a confusing amount.
No, they're betting on horses.
Yes, horse betting.
Yeah.
Or
okay.
horse racing.
You have to do your thing because you know this movie way more than I do.
It's a Sting. Everyone knows the Sting.
No, it is The Sting from 1973, starring Robert Redford.
Yeah, that guy.
And Paul Newman. Robert Shaw. I'm reading the names. I'm cheating. I'm sorry.
I can tell. Yes.
I mean, they may not.
They can tell.
Sometimes I can list actors like that. infusings, but
This is
some
my
of them.
doubt face.
Whatever.
I'll have to add my notes later. Okay. So The Sting is a favorite film of mine. It's 1970s. What do they call it? Comedy crime. Yeah, that's fair. Think of it as kind of like a heist, where again, except it's a sting, which is sort of a con game, confidence trick, where the idea is they're gonna. There's a dark mode button on the right, babe. Down there. My wife has blinded herself with Wikipedia's default settings. So,
I have. Dear God.
she'll never see straight again. But The Sting is very classic in that, like, you know, these heist movies, these confidence game shows, confidence men things, like, they're always the same idea of, like, okay, someone has a big play they're going to make, and so they're getting a team together, and here's the play, and here's how we're going to run it, and oh my gosh, the stakes, and the betrayals, and the consequences, and what if they find out, and what if it goes wrong, and it's just an excellent version of that. So if you like anything like Ocean's 11, which, by the way, the original is really good too, it has a different ending.
We need to watch that then. I love Ocean's 11.
Yeah, you should.
And I've only seen the remake.
Yeah. The Sting is, I think, probably one of the best. It's a film of its time. If you are very, I don't know, concerned about certain phrases.
Sexism?
Other things as well.
Oh.
But yeah.
The N-word?
Yeah.
Okay, you can say the N-word.
I wasn't
Don't
sure how
actually
far
say
you
it.
wanted to go into that, but yeah.
Well, I mean, I do think that is a valid concern. Like, people should be aware that that is a word they might hear.
Yeah, like, because it's supposed to be, the film is set, in 1936. So, I mean, even though it was made in 73, it's supposed to be 1936.
Supposed to be 40 years sooner.
Yeah. So, I mean...
Wasn't the black guy that was his best friend was one of my favorite characters, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved him.
Uh-huh.
Did he die?
Almost immediately.
Yeah, because he was my favorite.
Yeah. Not really spoilers, it's just the setup to the plot. So there you go.
Yeah, I really liked him, though.
But yeah, you know, he plays... We meet the main character, which is Robert Redford, I believe.
It should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it Paul Newman? I don't know. Either way, the main character is a con man, and he's working with someone. Yeah, Paul Newman and Robert Redford. So I think it's Paul Newman first. And they basically decide that they're going to pull this big con on a mob boss. And I think from that alone, you pretty much know what's going on. It involves horse racing. And,
but you don't ever actually see horse racing.
You don't know, but if you know
Which I'm grateful for, because I don't like horse racing. Continue.
Well, and it also, it's 1936 is important because for the nerds in the audience, or the non-nerds, I suppose, back then they would, you know, telegram, ticker tape style, like...
The results and
the
how it's
results,
going.
and so that's kind of what's going on. And it's really interesting to watch. Of course, there's not a damsel, what is she, it's from film noir. You have the...
Newsy? I don't...
No, you have the... Oh my gosh, there's a term for it.
I don't know.
Whatever. There's a love interest who's maybe also like running a con and all these other things. But it's a really good movie. Like I said, if you like any of those kinds of films, this is a must see. It's one of the best in my opinion. It's just solid in every direction. It's hard to discuss because
spoilers.
Yeah, it's spoilerific because it's all about like how they play off each other. But of course, all the characters have a ton of chemistry.
Dude, every actor in this movie was spectacular.
I think it's something that we've...
Robert Redford is an amazing actor. Like, it's hard to go wrong if you get him in a movie, but...
Right, and I think older films in general, because they couldn't rely on...
CGI and all these other crap.
Not just CGI, but, like, tropes and advertising campaigns and whatnot, or at least not as much. You've lost the art of like just good character chemistry and banter, and I think that's actually why Marvel did well for so long, was because they were bothering to do it in a genre like oh my gosh, what's it called? Action films, especially action superhero. You know, half decent writing is normally seen as like, oh, we don't need to do that. That's just bonus points. Mm-hmm. And they bothered to do that. And it also comes with a lot of character chemistry. I still think one of the best character development scenes I've ever seen is It's the trailer for one of the Avengers films. The first one, no, Ultron. As much as people hate that film, it's got all of them sitting around the table. Is it Ultron?
Oh, are you talking about the end credit scene where they're talking about in the restaurant?
No, not the shawarma. There's a party going on, and it's the Avengers all sitting at a table, and the hammer's on the table, Thor's hammer, and they're all kind of a little buzzed, and they're trying to pick up the hammer. And it's such a brilliant scene because it tells you so much about the characters, it gives you chemistry, it's a well-shot scene. There's that little moment of nervousness from Thor when Cap touches the hammer, and it kind of twists. Yeah, it's a really, really well-shot scene that you don't normally see that kind of thought put into the writing, the composition, the plot, and all that in an action film. And likewise, older films, I think, thrived on that kind of thing. And granted, this is like, the best film of, or, one of the best films of 1973 that I can think of, given I can't think of others. So survivorship bias, absolutely. I'm sure there was a bunch of junk put out that year. But likewise, this is just similar level of thing where the scenes are all excellent.
I just want to point out Avengers Age of Ultron is correct. I googled it.
Thank you. And it pays off in the end of Age of Ultron, spoilers.
But, yeah, I really liked it, and I do have to say, I love heist movies, so much. So I went into this expecting to not like it because it was so old, it's not going to hold a candle to this and this and this and this. No, it was spectacular.
Good old this and this and this and this. Someone should make a movie called that.
There was no reason for me to list them.
No, I know.
I definitely recommend it, especially if you like heist movies. And then, The Whale.
Yeah. Oddly, I put this one off for a while, just in part because I wasn't in the mood to watch something sad, and in part because I was like, I heard it hyped up so much, I just don't believe it can live up to it. And I stuck the landing.
I've always loved Brendan Fraser. I had such a crush on him when he did George of the Jungle, The Mummy, and
Blast from the Past.
Blast from the Past. I don't know if I know that one.
It's where he's from the 1950s, and I think he gets frozen somehow or something. I think that's what it's called.
That sounds familiar. Bedazzled was hilarious.
Yeah, Bedazzled, The Mummy.
Journey to the Center of the Earth was
Blast
so
from the Past.
good.
Nailed it. I'm so good at this.
I don't know if I know that one. I liked him in
watched
everything I've seen him in. I don't. Is that Alicia Silverstone? I need to see this movie if I haven't seen it already because I love her too.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, I remember before he won was he nominated? Whatever it was, when he stood up and then they were... No, he had a standing ovation. That's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, I don't remember if he stood up or if he was sitting down, but everyone else stood up and they were clapping for 5 solid minutes. Which, when you say it aloud, doesn't sound like a lot. But if you sit there and you count to 65 times, that is a long period of time.
It's also about the longest I can believe people will willingly clap. I don't care how long your standing ovation at the Canes was. That's just pretentious.
Yeah, my hands start to hurt after a solid 30 seconds. Oof. But I remember researching about him prior to that because I was like, whatever happened to him? I had such a crush on him. He was so amazing. And then learning, God, what was it? George of the Jungle screwed up his back, his entire body basically. They destroyed that man on those movie sets. And then he had troubles with his wife. And, I'm so upset with how Hollywood treated him and how the public treated him because, obviously, he got depressed. He put on some weight. I don't know if he put on weight because he was depressed or if it was a medical issue. Don't know. Don't care. None of my business. But people made fun of him, and it was just everybody has a hard time. And straight up making fun of someone without understanding the context, or heck, understanding the context, is still, I make fun of my friends on the things that, as far as I understand, I know they don't have, concepts about, they're gonna go home, they're not gonna go home and be like, man, Liz made fun of me for having fat calves, and I've always been so self-conscious about that. she just brought all that childhood trauma back. You know, like, I don't believe when I'm making fun of my friends that any of them are doing that. So, he's a stranger. Like, whether you've seen him on the TV screen or not, you don't know him. I'm sorry, I've gone way off track. Basically, I just wanted to say, I really love Brendan Fraser, so I really wanted to see this movie when it came out, and we watched it, 2024? So 2 years after it came out?
So, the plot is that...
For the whale, by the way.
Yeah, the whale, is that Brendan Fraser is a heavily obese writer.
Teacher.
Well, teacher in a writing class, sorry. Ex-writer, kind of. And, well, yeah, morbidly obese is the term on the screen, and that is correct. And he's basically ruined his own life due to an affair. And he's recently reconnected with his daughter, who is a teenager. And or not, maybe recently, it's just that it's quite clear very early on that he's probably at the end of his life.
Yeah, and he's trying to reach out, and obviously he has not been there for her. So she's kind of just like, yeah, whatever, dude. You're just fat and you're an idiot.
Well, she's like aggressively awful.
Oh, yeah.
But, who did this again? Fincher, right? No.
I don't know.
Scroll up. Aronofsky, the other one. Yeah, I was like, not David Fincher, Aronofsky, the other D. Aronofsky also did, would you click on him? I'm pretty sure the Facebook movie, I can never remember the name, The Social
Network?
Yeah, scroll down to his filmography, please.
Didn't really have to.
There we go. Pi, he did
Pi. For a Dream.
Yeah, he did Pi, Requiem for a Dream, Below, The Fountain, The Wrestler, Black Swan, Noah, Mother. Oh, yeah, sorry, he didn't do...
That's not The Social Network.
No, that's where I'm getting confused, but, he did Requiem for a Dream.
Good God.
And he did Black Swan, which is overrated.
I hate Black Swan.
And he did,
Mother,
which
I didn't watch, and I don't
plan to watch
ever.
Either way, he's known for writing really good dialogue. And I think he's been a writer on many other things. That's part of why I might be conflating him with things, but it doesn't matter. So, the writing saves the film by far, and that in lesser hands, this would have been a garbage film. Instead, it's a really, really good film. It manages to keep your interest. As you pointed out many times, you understand where everyone's coming from, even when they're being awful. These are flawed and human characters, and while they're dramatic human characters, and that, I don't know that everyone would always talk this way or be this over the top, it feels like it justifies their behavior and their reactions, and much like in many sad situations, there's not a clear good person or villain. It's a lot of damaged people and lousy situations from past mistakes, and just trying to navigate the quagmire of a mess that they've put themselves in. And it manages to have good enough dialogue to do that and come off as believable, but not pretentious or over the top, not overly maudlin or dramatic or oh, isn't this sad? It feels quite good, It feels like it's telling a good story. It's kind of hard to point to this and be like, why does this feel like almost like a story, like a fable maybe, or something, kind of like how you're told all these kids stories. This is obviously not for kids, but at the same time it's got a moral and a lesson and yada yada yada, and somehow it manages to feel more realistic and applicable rather than just and then all the horrible things happened to this person and then they exploded, or whatever, or well, if you want to get biblical, the Book of Job, but
I felt like his friendship with Liz, and she was a nurse, she was just a nurse, was so believable. Mm-hmm. There were times when she would yell at him of you have heart disease or whatever because you're so obese, you need to stop doing this to yourself. I felt in that moment, I was like, yeah, I've said stuff like that to John. I agree with this of I understand that you want to be happy by eating all this garbage, but I want you to live. I want you to live. Mm-hmm. So I just I cried at several points in this movie. I felt it so hard.
It will make you cry if you're a crier. It's a very sad film.
Like,
it's a great performance by everyone involved. It's not just him. It has child actors, which is an immediate but no, they managed to stick the landing. I think it's up there with the Vivitch, as Liz calls it, or the Witch, as the rest of the world calls it.
it's
With
2 V's.
excellent child acting that really helped sell the scene, and it was important.
Scenes. She didn't want one.
Well, I'm
Yes.
thinking of one in particular, one or two, because she is.
She was so believable.
I believe her writing is probably the hardest writing to get right, and her acting is probably the hardest acting to get right.
And she did. She
Because,
nailed it.
any screw up in either part would have made this show or this movie much more.
Unwatchable.
Yeah, like, ugh, whatever.
Mhm.
Yeah, I get it.
Oh, you mean like the teenage daughter in the Ant-Man
Yeah.
movie?
Yeah,
Oh my
exactly.
God, I hated her so much.
Mhm.
Like, there were times when I hated the daughter in The Whale, but it was just because I understood where she was coming from. But I was also like,
Well.
come on, like he's your dad and he wants to be there for you. He's trying. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, when you've been burned before, it's hard to just keep that, keep your moral up, or your morale up, excuse me. What?
I don't think it's a huge spoiler to say that one of the key conflicts of the film, or mysteries, or whatever you want to call it, is whether or not his daughter is really an irredeemable piece of trash. Or whether she's just someone who is hurt tremendously and lashing out and, in her own way, and like anyone who's been a teenager probably has said or done things they regret or been difficult, and this is that turned up all the way to 20 at the bare minimum. And yes, there's absolutely scenes. I believe you even said, like, oh, I just hate her, I'm gonna hate her, and then you eventually came around on that because it's good writing. Generally, I enjoy just about anything that makes Liz adamantly declare something and then prove that she's wrong not 5 to 20 minutes later.
And honestly, I really appreciate when something can do that, because it's like, it has to be believable. That's the only way you can make me hate someone and then change my mind later. If it's not believable, I won't change my mind. I will just be annoyed. Like, heck, Karen from Harry Dresden. I hated her, and I never changed my mind on her, unfortunately. But I still think Jim Butcher's my favorite author. So, it's a wash. It's fine. Gosh, that fireworks is... They're getting loud.
They're close.
This movie. So good, but so sad.
Yeah, and I mean, as with any of these films, I hesitate to recommend it if you, I don't know.
Have any pain points similar to that?
Well, more just like, it's a sad film. Like, warning, this is gonna be a ride. So go into it knowing that, but that said, I am fairly jaded when going into these kinds of things, just because, like, I remember La La Land, I think, was the last one, where I was like, oh, yeah, you made an Oscar grab, cool. Like, this doesn't fit at all, in my opinion. Yeah, so, like, I'm pretty picky about my depressing movies. Nocturnal Animals was good, this was good. But
I refused to watch La La Land because it looked stupid to me, and then I researched about it, and I was like, no, I'd hate this movie. So
you'd like it.
No, I wouldn't. I'd be so pissed about that ending. I would not be able to forgive it. That's not how stuff works.
Yeah, it is.
No,
if you
it's
end
not.
your name 5 minutes beforehand, it's a better film.
If you ended Supernatural in season 5 3 minutes before it ended, it would have been the perfect ending.
Your screen said
It's
I'm a lizard.
even titled...
You already put in subtitles?
Swan Song. I have to edit the video when he is done talking, because as you can hear, I have already edited the video and we have been talking longer than what I prepared for. I don't know why you needed to point that out to anybody.
Well, I saw the subtitle.
Yes, obviously I edited it.
You
This
did.
was like a 4.5-hour video, and look at that. It's 34 minutes right now.
I thought you did subtitles after the fact.
I only, in the end credits, why do I need to wait till after the narration? What's the point?
I don't know.
Exactly.
Today I'm behind the scenes.
I really like to edit them beforehand, because then once I finish the narration, I'm just like, I don't want to do a lot. I just fix it up to fit the narration to the video.
She does
And
have to
then I
drag
save
me
it and
down
I'm
the
done.
stairs first to get narration done, so she's often very exhausted afterwards.
It's
Because
true.
then she has to drag me back up the stairs to go to bed.
Mhm.
It's quite the ordeal. We have a lot of
It really
stairs.
is. We really do. Norman counted them. What did he get? 63 or something?
70 something,
Something,
counting the ones
70 something,
outside because he's Norman.
Mm.
Total stair count.
Let's see. Of the things we discussed, The Sting is my favorite.
Don't know.
Well, duh.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but yeah, if it was like, oh, you could only ever watch one of the Sting.
It'd be The Sting.
Yeah. I'd watch it again. If I'd only ever had to watch one, it'd be The Sting. Like
I don't think I could ever watch The Whale again. I don't
Yeah, it's
think
another
I can
one.
because it's just it hurts too much.
I just don't think it would hold my attention.
Oh, I think it could hold my attention, but I think I'd be crying and giving myself a headache all over again, and I'd rather not.
You are that way, yes.
Mm-hmm. I'm a very easy crier.
She's emotional.
I cry when I'm happy, when I'm sad, when I'm angry. Like, I'll cry at anything.
When oh god, what was your most recent like auto cry?
Auto cry?
Yeah, there was something that we watched or talked about or read. Oh, yeah, the bird.
Oh, David's been listening to
Dungeon
Crawler Carl. And at the start, he was like, yeah, Liz, I don't think this is for you. And then as he's gone on, I'm just like, oh my god, I would love this book series so much. It's not complete, though. But there was
Really
a bird
sad, yeah.
that literally I dreamed about it the night after, and I woke up crying.
Yeah.
And that's what gets me. When someone can write something and you just have to summarize it, and that can make me cry,
Yeah.
you know that's powerful writing.
Yeah.
I may be an easy crier, but like
this is absolutely going out of his way to make a sad story, but also, yeah, stuck the landing. Sad story is sad, like 100%, and just that's
the
a whole-
other thing you said you thought would make me cry, you were describing it, and I was like, I'm not even getting teary-eyed.
Well, yeah, that's because
But you also didn't try.
Yeah, because you had already cried at the previous thing pretty
And
hard.
we were in public at a Chinese restaurant, so...
Oh, that won't
Okay,
stop.
I wasn't, like, openly sobbing. I just had tears running down my cheek, and, I was wiping them away.
Yeah.
I was eating my
I can
orange
bring it up
chicken,
now
and it
and
was
she'll
fine.
start crying.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, I can feel my eyes getting a little watery just thinking about that poor bird. Like,
Yeah. It was very sad.
And it's not that the bird was tortured. I mean, okay.
Well,
Not
the way you might think. It's
yeah,
a weird book.
It's
All
it's
sorts
confusing.
of warnings if you're going to dive down this rabbit hole. It doesn't exactly start well. It can be incredibly gross. It's horrifying. That's kind of the point. It's also comedy. But this particular scene, which comes in the last book that's currently out, and I guess he's doing more on his Patreon, and more will come out as he finishes, but
I think what's important to know,
soul-crushing.
the bird outlives his mommy.
Yeah.
And his mommy is a human being, by
Yeah.
the way. Not like his literal bird mom.
Yeah.
And I just... and he has gained sentience.
Yeah. It's
Like, human sentience. So, like, he can communicate more than what, like, a parrot could normally do or whatever.
It's the innocence of an animal, that just feels
just
so...
lost their mommy.
Mhm.
Okay, I mean, like, I won't be able to handle it when I lose my mom.
Mhm.
And I can't imagine if I was a little birdie. Oh no, I'm crying. All right, so prepare to see the editing that I did at the end of the video that David was discussing earlier.
Spoilers!
That is the end of 4 Heavenly Beasts, day 83. I got 4 hours and 22 minutes of footage. I got The Black done, 310, and another really, really dark one. I think it was 3799? No, 3799 is what I started my day with. Whatever, I got a lot of really dark colors complete. So, you can really see the shape of the dragon's chest, stomach. He's long, so...
He's long.
Long boy is long.
He's a lizard.
He's a dragon.
I assume they're reptiles.
They have scales, like reptiles, but they're not real.
There's Komodo dragons.
You and Norman are idiots.
What?
Komodo dragons cannot fly. Actual dragons can fly,
Not all of them.
but they're not real.
Your dragon in Split Fiction couldn't fly.
How dare you? He could fly when he got older.
Mine could vomit everywhere.
We're not talking about Split Fiction right now. We have to save that for an actual
Go this
conversation because we don't have we don't have enough of a list to keep going at the rate that we're going.
I think it's over here.
No. I don't think I'm going to be cross-stitching tomorrow. I need to just ow, my ear is ringing. I need to just let my wrist rest. Doesn't sound like words. Neither of those sounded real.
The wrist rest?
Yes, I need to let my wrist rest.
It would be best if you let your wrist rest.
No, it's still only wrist rest. That doesn't sound right.
She'll be less stressed. It would be for the best if she let her wrist rest.
Those last two lines are still the only ones that sound wrong.
We could test.
No, it's not working, babe.
The wrist rest?
No, it's because W and R just sound too similar to me. I don't know.
She's becoming distressed.
I am going to throw something at you.
I think she's impressed.
I'm really fucking not.
I'm sending this video
God.
to Alex.
Now I have to cut that.
I love you.
I don't think you do.
I was trying to give you something we could share with Alex.
You're not going to share this with Alex.
I 100% am. Yes, I am. You will 100% get to see this video.
Sure.
I don't know why you doubt me.
I have to remember to bleep myself.
She's a bleep.
Excuse you?
I don't know what that means either.
You know bleep is usually for a curse word, right?
There's a couple that could be good.
What are the good ones that wouldn't get bleeped? Which makes no sense because you bleeped it.
Well, no, they would get bleeped, but it could still be good. I'm enjoying my day. I slept in.
He came into the bedroom at 3 a.m. and tossed pillows everywhere.
I relocated a pillow.
No, there was at least two. Because there was a huge thump, and then there was another huge thump.
I'm the huge thump, though. So
No, because I looked over and you weren't in the bed yet.
I could have thumped and gotten up. Unthumped. Dethumped. Wrist rest.
I can't with you. Like, subscribe, share, comment, all that jazz. And I'll see you guys in the next video.
I may not be there, though.
No, he may not. He may not. But you know who's going to help me? We're not telling them so that they're not complicit.